Essentially in a build phase, we want to take all of the concepts through a deficit and flip it. So we want foods that are going to be not super filling, maybe a little bit more palatable, easier to get down if you're towards the tail end of your build. Hey guys, we'll be doing something a bit different today. I'll be taking you through a grocery shop in a build phase. So I'll show you my top muscle gaining foods. At the moment I'm doing a build, and we'll also just be hanging out and having a chat. So first we start with these. No, I'm joking. Trying to relatively keep it a quality food shop today, but first we'll start with protein. I've had like no caffeine today, so you're gonna get a dead tilde today. I'm trying to keep down my dose just because it's a lot of my nervous system. But first we'll be starting with eggs. We'll be starting with what I typically have for breakfast, which, yes, they're here. So typically I love to leverage eggs. These are a fantastic source of choline and protein and vitamin D and calcium and all the rest. If you're going to go for eggs, get the highest quality that you can afford. That is my biggest tip for these. There are so many nutrients in it. Think about it, like everything a chicken needs to basically come to life is in this that you're going to get for your body. So I recommend don't go with cage free. Does not mean very high quality. Go for free range. The lower the hens per hectare you can get, the better quality it's going to be. These are 10,000 hens per hectare, so not amazing. If you can get 10 hens per hectare, that's the gold standard, but I love the way these ones taste, so I'm gonna go with these. Essentially in a build phase, we want to take all of the concepts through a deficit and flip it. So we want foods that are going to be not super filling, maybe a little bit more palatable, easier to get down if you're towards the tail end of your build. You still want to have foods that optimize like health and gut, which is really important, but taking a lot of the concepts from a cut phase, getting those veggies, taking them down a bit if you are struggling to get down food, and having more, starchy carbohydrate sources instead of trying to bulk up so much with veg in your meals. I'm gonna get some salmon. Salmon is really good. I like the Tasmanian one, although after watching the movie Seaspiracy, I can never see seafood the same way. And now I always know that they're dyed, which kind of ruins salmon for me, but it's got a really great omega-3 profile, really great for getting in your fats. Omega-3s are an awesome fat to leverage in really any phase. They're really neuroprotective and help with your joints. So yeah, if we can try and stick to mostly omega-3s, some, your omega-6s are fine, like nut butters, but it's about the ratio that's important. The secret to gains is kangaroo. No, but seriously though, I know this is like the only thing I eat, but kangaroo, as of lately, I've been liking doing beef mince as well. But lately I've actually been digging the garlic and herb marinated steaks. These, ew. That one looks black. that looks nasty. Anyways, where is it? Yeah, these ones, really good. The macros are amazing. So I put this in the air fryer for about 15 to 20 minutes and it gets really nice and crispy. And the macros are really great. It has almost no fat and like 20 grams of protein per 100 grams. So those are definitely a staple in pretty much any phase I do. Yeah, it don't look great, but it gets the job done. That's the main thing. Not really a fan of chicken breast. I know it's really high in leucine, but it just doesn't fill me up like the same way kangaroo does. And this has a really high iron content. It's also relatively free range and hormone free. So I think that's quite important. We're not just about macros, we're about health. And now I'm getting some 5% lean beef mince. I love this because it's super versatile. You can put like jalapenos, you can make it Mexican style, you can put ketchup, you can make it into like a lean burger patty. But the difference between the 5% and the 18% mince is actually massive. So per 100 grams, the 18% has around 240 calories and the 5% has 133 calories. So you're saving yourself about 100 calories just from going with the leaner one, which is crazy. So we're gonna be going with that. Awesome. Do I get 2 or do I get 4? I might just get 2. Yeah. Awesome. You guys, I'm dead. There's sausage dog cake. I have to get this for Jacob. No, but seriously though, a couple of years ago, if you'd met me, all of my build phase would just be like all of this. I actually used to, every training session, right? I used to have an entire packet of these post-workout. Sorry. I used to have an entire packet of these post-workout. They're actually like so delicious, but ever since my gut health journey, I've moved to way less inflammatory foods and you feel so much better. So really just cutting out those processed starchy carbohydrates and replacing them with whole quality ones. I also don't perform super well with gluten. I find I feel a bit more inflamed, but anyways, these are amazing. But yeah, I used to pretty much have a whole packet of those post-workout. Nowadays, I've changed it up. Very busy calls today. All right, I actually get the worst like anxiety about filming in shopping centers, but oh well. So when it comes to your protein intake, basically in a build phase, anywhere between 1.8 to 2.2 grams is a good start. Typically, if you have a higher amount of muscle mass, you will require a larger amount of protein. And then if you're a newbie just starting out, you won't need as much. So the reason we don't need as much protein in a build is because our body's primary fuel source is carbs. So when given the choice to break down protein and turn into amino acids or just use readily available carbohydrates, it's always going to choose the second one. So we definitely don't need as much protein in a build as in a cutting phase to preserve muscle, because body is going to take carbs instead of the extra protein. So yeah, you've got a little bit of push down on your protein amount. I find it very hard personally to decrease my protein intake in a build phase. That is one of the things I struggle with the most. But yeah, a little bit more high quality carbs. Nowadays I try and leverage carbs that aren't as high GI as like sugar and not as inflammatory. This is probably what you'd most likely think about in a build phase aisle. So cereals, we love granola, but it makes me feel so bloated, I can't have it now. So typically, as far as cereals go, post-workout, I will go for the Messy Monkey gluten-free crunch. It should be somewhere over here. So gluten-free cereals, and also cream of rice is a massive one. So Mackenzie's rice flour, it's only around $2, but you get so much value. It's a really quick form of relatively fast digesting carbs, and it's quite cheap as well. Fuck, this shopping center is doing my ADHD. So now we'll go into carbohydrates. Cool. So my favorite rice to go to is actually, like, that's just a coincidence of my name, but sticky rice. It tastes so good. I believe glutinous rice is quite high carbohydrate compared to the other ones, but it just has a really nice texture, and it tastes so delicious if you add condensed milk with that and have it post-workout. So good. So yeah, typically I go for potato as my carb mostly. I also stick to a bit of rice, but yeah, I think it's really important to aim for quality foods, because in a build especially, like if you're eating and like just doing what I used to do and just dirty bulking and having inflammatory processed things, they're going to impair digestion ultimately. And it's like, if you imagine your body is a car, we want to be fueling it with the best foods we can, so that it runs for a long time and it's, functions well. But if you're throwing in, tons of like inflammatory fats and gluten and sugar and not having enough micronutrients, you're going to impair your health and digestion. And obviously it's really important in a build that we're optimizing digestion, to be able to not just digest that food, but also absorb it and utilize it. Yeah, so my rationale behind the whole health food thing is, I don't know, I find that, when people go for build phases, or even it's very, very prevalent in coaches and my industry I see nowadays, is coaches will just put, like, if it fits your macros, their clients' day on a plate, and it'll be like fiber one bars and all this garbage that just fits macros, but there's like no nutritional value to it. And you will end up with like deficiencies, and you can end up with inflammation and gut issues in the long run. And, it's our responsibility as a coach to also ensure that our clients are healthy, and to educate them on that. These ones are the OG. So normally peckish is really good, but also sour cream and chive. They've got like a whole flavored section of the sunrise rice cakes. These are really great, staple for the build. Yeah, we used to eat things like shapes yeah, just go crazy with things like shapes, but these aren't as processed. They're a lot better for digestion, in my opinion. So typically I would go for Delights. Those are a really great source of just purely carbohydrates. Same as Sunrise flavored rice cakes, and these ones as well, but don't get that flavor, it's shit. I would go for the barbecue flavor. Another thing that's really good for a build, if you're towards the tail end, you can use bagels. These are a really great source of getting in your carbs. A bagel has roughly around like 50 to 80 grams of carbs each. So especially like if you're like a trades person or you struggle to get in your calories, bagels are a really easy win to get in those carbohydrates. Now, in a build as well, we want to primarily leverage carbohydrates as the source that we're going to titrate up as opposed to fats or protein. And this is because they are anti-catabolic and they're going to help repair the muscle and prevent muscle breakdown. So leverage carbohydrates, stick to relatively, not crazy low fats. Obviously, we still want fats for hormone production purposes, especially for females. Really important that we still do have high fats, and also fats help us to absorb fat-soluble vitamins such as A, E, D, and K. But anyways, main leverage is our carbohydrates. Another easy win is orange juice. I'm probably going to get some of that in a minute. Orange juice, lots of vitamin C, also a really great way. Drinking your carbs is probably the best advice I can give you if you're struggling to get them in. Orange juice, bagels, rice is going to be your best friend. Just getting some soda water because I'm super thirsty at the moment. So another really delicious breakfast idea that I would recommend is to get a gluten-free or just a regular muffin, and then you can put cottage cheese on it, ham, and an egg on it, and it's so delicious. I used to have that every single day. As of lately, I've been changing up though, but yeah, English muffin with cottage cheese, ham, and eggs are so good. When I train, I will go for these ones, although soon I'm going to get some highly branched cyclodextrin, just because I'm trying to limit my sugar intake a little bit more as of lately to support more gut health. So you can definitely use these for your training. Really great way to leverage carbs, especially around training. It's going to have that effect of preventing muscle breakdown and helping you recover more. So juice, like if you can get pure natural non-added sugar juice, especially orange, really high in vitamin C, I would definitely pair that with your meals if you're struggling to get down calories. At this stage of my build, I'm not struggling to get down calories, so I won't be having that for a little while. But yeah, in terms of, I normally also have cottage cheese in my diet. That can be a really great slow digesting form of caseinate before bed. Very slow digesting form of protein, but in a build phase, we want foods that aren't very slow digesting. So they are going to digest relatively quickly to get the sheer amount of food volume down that we need to. So typically if you're finding your digestion's a little bit skewed from having casein or yogurts, I would potentially look at having maybe more of like an isolate or just cutting out your caseins. I'm gonna get some pineapple. This stuff is, comment down below if you love or hate pineapple. The only thing is it leaves that like weird feeling in your mouth, but massive fan of pineapple for no particular reason, but it's delicious. So typically for fruits in a build phase, I like to have fruits that are richer in potassium content because this is going to help with muscle contractions around training. So anything like bananas, dates, they're going to be great for muscle contraction. So dates are also an awesome way to get in your carbs in a build phase. They have around 18 grams of carbs per date, which is crazy. So really great way to leverage your carbs through dates. Great potassium content as well. Pineapple is awesome, a lot of micronutrients. And then bananas are a staple as well, really rich in potassium and fiber. I actually really like to have the baby charisma potatoes because I'm still at the very early point in my build, but if you are towards the tail end of your build, you may want to go for foods that aren't as filling for your carb sources, such as like rice. But I'm still at the start and I'm still quite hungry, so typically I like to go for charisma potatoes, and then I'll put these in the air fryer and add some ketchup. Or you could go for sweet potatoes. Typically the macros between sweet potato versus white potato they're really not very different. From a micronutrient perspective, sweet potato is probably a little bit more richer in vitamins and minerals. A little tip as well, the Spud Light ones are exactly the same as Charisma. They're both 25% less carb, but these ones are a little bit cheaper. So yeah. Veggies, one of my favorite veggies is roasting pumpkin in the air fryer. I'm so obsessed with this. I'll normally put a little bit of coconut oil. That one looks really good. You could also opt for like a greens powder. Axe do a really good Soul Greens powder, and that's a way of supplementing your micronutrient intake and making sure that you're not deficient in vitamins and minerals without adding on to the volume of your food and more to eat. So typically as well, if you're struggling to digest food in a build, one of the veggies I would actually avoid is cruciferous veg, one of the types of veg. These are typically hardest to digest. So anything like broccoli, cauliflower, like kale, they're going to be a little bit harder to digest. So I would avoid them and go for ones such as maybe carrots or potatoes. The one thing I don't like to compromise on is eating for quality and eating for your health. I reckon you should spend as much as is needed on your health. Like your health, your nutrition is the one thing that you shouldn't make justifications on spending wise. Like buy the highest quality meats and the highest quality eggs you can afford and veggies, and you'll feel so much better in the long run. You know, I used to penny pinch on my protein sources and on this and ended up buying protein bars and junk, and you feel so much worse. So avocados. I actually need some of these. It's so hard finding ripe ones though. The funny thing about avocados is like you'll leave it on your counter and you'll look away. You'll look there and it'll be raw. You look away and 30 seconds later, it's like black. For fats as well, I will get, where is it? Somewhere here, it is the salted caramel flavored peanut butter. It's really, really good. Yeah, it tastes amazing. I have that with banana. Between you and me, I'm actually the biggest fan of protein bars, but they do mess up your digestion a bit. But honestly, like I used to be the biggest protein bar addict in the world. I used to have them for every meal and replace them with replace quality meals for protein bars. But now I kind of just, I have them very occasionally. But typically my go-to protein bars, these are amazing. The Muscle Nation jelly ones, so good. Or if you're really struggling to put down calories, Cliff bars are a go-to as well. These are really, dense in carbs and calories. Another one is you can get muesli bars. There is a granola bar and it's like 450 calories for a square. I forgot what the name is, but that is a really good one. But yeah, Cliff bars are a good go-to if you're struggling to get calories in. At the moment, as I said, I tend to kind of just avoid them because I want quality and they can mess up your digestion a little bit. Sushi is also one of the best snacks or lunches in a build. I fucking froth sushi, it is so good. But also like a really kind of pure quality source of carbs and protein and good fats in a build. So sushi is definitely a go-to. So pretty much we want high quality carbohydrate sources that aren't, tons super high in fats. My brain's not working today.